Okay, so we can have some different variations in split squats. I can do reverse lunge, I can do a forward lunge, I can split it. I can also do it as a front rack or a back rack. I'm just gonna touch on where I'm holding. So I go pinkies on the first ring. Okay, some of you with bigger bodies might go ring finger or middle finger on the rings. This is the same position that I would be doing my cleans from. So if I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna be focusing on the Olympic lifts of cleans, I'm gonna be doing the same thing out of front squat. If I'm going snatch, it's much farther. If I'm doing a traditional deadlift, I'm gonna be quite a bit closer in on the bar. So we'll address that later in deadlifts, but so I'm gonna go into a front rack position, a reverse lunge. I'm gonna be right here. I'm really cognizant of how my hip is working, where the weight is distributing. Some people will say it's very left leg dominant in this. I think the right leg does play a part. It needs to stabilize, but I'm also concerned with, I don't want my hips shifting one way or the other, so I'm really trying to feel this left hip when I'm going down on my left leg. I don't want this to go that way. I don't want it to sink that way. I'm really thinking here, and I gotta be careful that it doesn't turn into this. So I'm keeping my torso straight up and down. You can do the same thing from a back position. I'll just show a forward lunge. Okay, it's very similar. These are all variations. Again, I'm very aware of how my hips are moving and my torso position. I feel a little bit more back leg on this one than a reverse lunge. Reverse lunge is a little bit easier to keep the front leg loaded. Okay, the other setup we've talked about are just split squats. That's me just sitting up there. Okay, I talked about this being more of an escalator. You will see people do this. I'll show you from the side. We do see people do this more straight up and down. I prefer to have a little bit more of an escalator into this, but that's me trying to train more of a jerk. So it just kind of depends on what your goals are. Still should just be very controlled, understanding where your weight is, understanding the weight distribution in your feet, and knowing how you're loading your lower half.